With us now, we have the former Defense Secretary to Presidents George W. Bush and Gerald Ford, also former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Donald Rumsfeld. Also with us, retired Colonel Tom Manion, whose son Travis was killed in Fallujah in 2007 while rescuing his fellow Marines. The Colonel is Chairman Emeritus of the Travis Manion Foundation. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Greatly appreciate it. Mr. Secretary, we should start with the President's trip to NATO yesterday. What was your take?
Well, it's important that he went there. It's a critical alliance for the United States. And I've heard critiques of the fact that people were worried that he talked to them about the fact that they weren't contributing and investing. It's not really contributing, investing to the target shot of 2% of their gross national product in defense. And he sounded like I did 30, 40 years ago when I was ambassador. I mean, it has to be done. They're not doing it. I think there are only 5 countries that are hitting the 2%. And it's important that they do that. And I think it's particularly important that the President of the United States look him in the eye and talk to him about how important it is. When Eisenhower was president, it was 10% of our GDP going to defense. Today, we're below 4% of GDP. So we've come down considerably. But those countries, for the most part, are simply not meeting the NATO target, and they should. And someone needs to tell them that, and I'm glad he did it.
What do you think of his posture more broadly to our European allies? A bit more hostile, perhaps, than past presidents?
Oh, I wouldn't call it hostile. I think he's got a style that's unusual, different. I think you also have to cut him a little slack. I mean, he's been in there how many weeks? Few months, and he doesn't have the undersecretaries, he doesn't have the assistant secretaries. It takes so long to get people in place. And normally what a president would do would be to sit down with the team and discuss all of these things, but he's got a very small team so far. It's a good one. I think the cabinet and the Supreme Court nominee, I'd give him high marks for picking good people, vice president. I think Jim Mattis at the Pentagon's an excellent choice. He's thoughtful and measured, experienced.
Colonel, I want to turn to you. You obviously just passed a solemn anniversary, 10 years since your son Travis was killed in Iraq in an incredible act of heroism, which saved all the other men on his patrol as he drove in and was taken out by a sniper. And you've carried on his legacy since that day with the foundation. Can you talk a little bit about what you all do for veterans?
Sure. Well, we started the foundation shortly after we lost Travis, and we wanted to always be there for our veterans, the families of the fallen. And my wife, when she started things, talked about being there for that next generation, helping to define the next generation and support them and what leadership's all about. And we have a character program. And so it's evolved over the years. Now we're 10 years out, and one of the things we're doing with our veterans and families of the fallen, we're getting out within the communities, and we're having those people who can inspire those within the community to talk about leadership and character and service and how important it is. Whether you're in uniform or not, we can all make a difference within our communities. And who better than these heroes that step forward and serve so selflessly for us?
Can you talk, Mr. Secretary, about how important these kind of organizations are to the federal government as well, bridging the gap for some of the things that the government can't do or that the VA can't reach?
I will. I was involved in Congress in introducing legislation to create the all-volunteer military. Back before we have this wonderful armed forces we have today, the finest probably, certainly in the world, and I think probably in the history of our country. They're all volunteers. They all raised their hand and volunteered to serve. The downside of having a volunteer military is many fewer people are brought into the military, and therefore fewer people have an understanding or a relationship or a relative in the military. And what the foundation does, they go out and connect military families and families of the fallen with people, young people so they understand more about the armed services and the volunteers. And I think it's terrific to have the colonel on, particularly around Memorial Day, so people can focus on the service that people are providing and better understand and value what they do on behalf of our country.
Colonel, I just so sorry about your son. Obviously, he was an incredible hero. What do we need to do better to take care of veterans in general in this country? What as somebody who's lived through your son with the ultimate sacrifice, what should we be doing better on behalf of your son?
Well, there's a lot of good people out there trying to help our veterans, and they have a lot of issues, you know, and there's so many great organizations working to address that. But, you know, for us, a big part of it is to understand what our veterans represent for our country and how resilient they are, and how, you know, we could look to them for inspiration and really just getting more connected. And it's a lot about what we want to try to do within the communities, connect our veterans, make people understand and appreciate why these selfless service members step up, why they put on the uniform and why they put it on the line for us. And I think there's got to be more awareness of that and a more appreciation for what that really means.
All right.
Amen.
And Willie, can you talk about that really quickly? We've got to go.
Point out the Secretary's mobile app, Churchill Solitaire. The profits of that will be going to the foundation. So good for you for doing that, sir.
Yeah. Bill, thank
Part
you.
of a $500,000 grant. All right. Thank you, Colonel, so much for being here.
Thank you.
And reminding our viewers what Monday is going to be about. And Mr. Secretary, it wasn't as exciting as The View yesterday, which was very, very strange, but we are honored to have you here. Thank you so much for being with us.